Welcome back. Today's episode features celebrity event planner, creative consultant, and hosting expert Melissa Andre. Melissa is renowned for creating distinctly whimsical designs with unexpected edge. Her expertise extends across brand collaborations, art direction, styling, retail solutions, and events with range from intimate celebrity weddings to grand music album release parties. Melissa's innovative designs have afforded her a growing roster of A-list clientele, including Drake, Victoria Beckham, Louis Vuitton, Jessica Alba, Sophia Richie, Google, and Instagram. Additionally, her trademark fanciful and otherworldly experiential installations have landed her on Biz Bash list of top event designers in North America, as well as interviews and features in InStyle, Forbes, People, Billboard, GQ, The Coveter, E, Vogue, and Elle. And now, Life Unfiltered. Enjoy. This episode is brought to you by RescueMD.com. I am obsessed with their products. If you are an avid LLG listener or story watcher, you already know I swear by their skincare. I use the DNA Repair Complex and the lip treatment every day, at least twice a day, without fail. One of the magic ingredients in Rescue Skin is Lapicol, a clinically proven ingredient that supports our skin's natural ability to repair and regenerate. Rescue Skin is great for skin under stress, which all of our skin is because, hello, environment. But it's also great for scars, burns, stretch marks, redness, fine lines, hyperpigmentation. But even if you just don't have any of those problems, which if you don't, I want to find you and test your blood. But this is just for everybody. The skincare is fantastic. I've been using it for well over a year now. You know, it's my go-to. You know, I don't travel without it. Check them out, RescueMD.com, and use code LLG10 to save on your next order. Melissa, I usually have to do like a real warming up session with my guests, but there was no. You came in here like a hot tamale.
Yes, absolutely. I had a tail.
I mean, well, you just got broken into.
Yes.
Your dog saved the day.
Yes.
The people need to know that.
Yes, I adopted this dog. I adopted a dog, and I meant to adopt a different dog, but then I ran into my dog, and I was like, oh, I need to bring this one home. Like It was like a sweater or something. And I was like, this is the one. I can feel it. I can feel it in my soul. And then I was hoping that she would like guard my house, but I was like, she might be too nice. And this burglar bad guy came onto my property, and my dog in the middle of the night, my princess angel, she got up, ears up, German Shepherd. You told me not to say the F word. So she F'd this guy up.
Yes.
And he ran away. And then I called the police while she was like doing her thing.
2 nights ago, though.
2 nights ago.
Are you traumatized?
I'm traumatized because I saw the guy because she was warning me. And I was like, what little squirrel is like bothering my dog at 3 a.m.? And I went to go and look. I'm like, oh, like a burglar. Amazing.
You know what scares me about this story is that like I have convinced myself, maybe because I'm delusional, that like burglars don't come in the middle of the night anymore. Like I don't know why I had this story.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
They do.
3 o'clock in the morning. And
but
she was up and at him. And this is a dog
looking in your house.
Peering in like a peeping Tom.
It's important to note that you have a little castle.
I do have a petite
chateau,
yes. And this burglar had good taste, maybe. And he's like, this looks like a good house. I don't know anything about him. So this is like a full tale that I just want to talk about my dog.
Yeah.
My princess, my baby angel. She got up. She's like, it's my time to shine. I've been waiting my whole life for this, you know?
Whole year.
So she waited 1.5 years for this. And people were like, oh, she might be too nice. And I was like, I have faith in her. When the moment comes, you know, she will do her thing, I hope. She did. She delivered. And then so much so that I called 911. You know, they came and the cops were scared of her. They were like, please put that monster away. And she was like, I'll take you all. I will take all of you at the same time.
I should have got a German Shepherd and said I have like a white floof, but she is loud and I feel she would deter people.
See,
so that's
I have
good.
This house that has so much glass.
Yeah.
So he could see her. And she was like on her hind legs, banging at the window. More like this, not like this. But she was like, I suggest you
leave.
You beat it. And he did. Beware of dog.
Beware of dog.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's not even why we're here.
That's not even why we're here.
I came in with this tail.
Yeah.
You're like, how are things? I'm like, just got broken into.
Yeah, you came in guns a-blazing.
I didn't sleep well.
So we're gonna dial it back. We're gonna get in our Zen space.
Yes.
So you're a real multi-hyphenate. When I was like doing my research on you, I was like, dang, this woman does a lot of things. Can you talk me through? I mean, we know the event designer, duh. But you also do like some stuff in fashion. Can you tell us all the things you do?
I think I just like consider myself like a creative director and a designer, and then that like manifests in kind of different things, you know. So I've like developed products, and I design events. I have a company that produces those events, and then also like pop-ups and art installations, and we make our own stationery, and of course we work with different brands in different capacities. So yeah, like we've like developed recipes for different brands, and then styled food, and kind of like anything that comes along with having, you know, a love for like design, creative direction, and then also the execution of that. So we definitely don't stop at like, I just think it and mood board it. Like we kind of make everything come to life.
That's a dream job for me. We're the same star sign. We're both Virgo.
Yes, we are.
And it makes so much sense.
Yeah, feeling in my
I don't know
soul.
if you know this, but I have a little bit of a background in event design. I don't know if you knew that. I used to be a florist, and I did some events for like a hot minute.
It's really
it was
hard.
way too hard for me.
It's very hard. It's the hardest job in the world.
It's the hardest job in the world.
Yeah.
I think
people are gonna like cringe when we say that.
No.
It's not though. I don't actually think that it's the hardest job.
Oh, I disagree. I think it's the hardest job in the world.
It is.
Here's where the clincher happens. Okay. I think where people get a little bit the disconnect of like why it's so hard. Forget the prep work. Everyone knows there's prep work before the event.
Sure.
What people don't realize is the tear down.
Right.
Everyone goes home.
Right.
They're like, what a nice event.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
And then
sometimes
you have to take it.
Do you need help with anything? And you're like, yeah, grab a hammer. Like, what? Yeah, back your truck up.
Yeah, get your
like,
van.
Yeah, like what?
That's the thing that I think. And then just also sourcing. I mean, it's so hard to execute an event, especially at the scale that you do. You're talking could be a year of prep, if not more.
I think the hardest thing about events and what makes them so unique to any other business is that it is one of the only industries where you can't change the date and the time because the guests are coming. Yeah. Like to the point where like they'll change the date of your surgery if they can.
Yep.
You know, like people schedule their like childbirth and then change it, you know? And like this is like more complex than me just blurting these things out. But like if you're remodeling a home and they're, you know, doing their thing and they hit a pipe or they just change the date.
Yeah.
They change the date that it's going to be done. But with events, the guests are coming, whether the florals showed up in the wrong color, whether it rained, whether the FedEx truck didn't come. Whatever happens, you know, whether there's lightning, you can't actually set up your tent, the guests are still coming.
Yep.
And the everything still needs to be done. So it's like this weird clock where, you know, it's going to go off. The timer is going to go off. And then there's all these disasters in between that you just have to fix, but you can't change that final date, which is just what kind of makes it really unique and also what makes it very stressful.
That's such a good point. There's no U-turning.
Right.
I mean, you could change variables, like if flowers are wrong. I mean, I've seen some of your content where you're like, this is not the right flower.
Right. But that's the thing is that you have to make those changes. So if you get to do plan A, then great.
Yeah.
But you're on plan C, D, E.
Yep.
You're still doing work, but the due date doesn't change.
Yep.
So even though you're still doing work, the due date doesn't change. So due date, like we're planning for like plan B and C, but or we allot some time for things to go wrong, but you don't really know what's about to go wrong. So you don't know if it's a 5-minute fix, a 5-hour fix. It could be like a 5-month fix.
Yeah.
You know, so that is like the difficult part that, you know, at the scale that I do it, you can't just be like, oh, IKEA ran out of this, so I went to Home Goods. Like at the scale that like people aren't paying me to like make a Home Goods run.
No.
You know, so it's like we're developing these things from scratch at a very large scale. If the wrong material comes in the wrong, which everyone has experienced these things day to day. Like everyone has ordered something.
Or
like,
even on a small scale, if you made a little party at your house. But it's like your friends. And so it's, and they haven't paid you to show up. So the pressure is not on you.
Right, totally. It's
but the
not
pressure is on
as,
you.
Like, going to Whole Foods and being like, they didn't have lemons, so I got limes.
Yeah.
We can't really do that.
Yeah.
We have to find lemons. And not 4, like 4,000.
Yeah.
You know? So that due date and the scale is what makes it like very unique and the most stressful job in the whole world.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree.
Yeah, if I do say so myself.
I did not. What really deterred me, and this is what I want to talk to you about. I was like, I didn't have the stomach for the stress. The stress would kill me. Maybe I'm a more anxious person in general, but like, do you still get super anxious? Like, have you gotten to a place where you're like, I've had a million things and I've had a million emergencies and I fixed them all and I know I could do it? Or do you still get freaking terrified every time?
No, I'm like buzzing at like a low level, like panic attack all the time. Like I'm just like at a constant, buzzing at like an anxious state, and then it can get worse.
Got it.
So something bad happens to get worse, but there's just an undertone of anxiety.
No, that makes complete sense. I could not. It was so hard.
Yeah, you can't.
And terrifying.
It's terrifying.
And weddings are the worst. What I ended up doing is I was like, I'm not going to do weddings. I'll do other little intimate events.
That's like a common thing that people are like, I draw the line at weddings.
Because people and
weddings are my favorite thing.
Okay.
I'm a
but do you not find that, or maybe not, maybe because you're like kind of like chill, your brides go and flow with you. And I think this is a big part of like being successful at what you do is like your clients will vibe with your vibe.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Everyone takes on.
But do you not find that brides become psychotic?
Mine don't.
Okay.
For the most part, which took a long time. But now, and it's like very unique in the wedding industry. And I'll say, like, if I ever I don't typically hire people who have worked in weddings before, because I feel like I do it a little bit differently. But in the rare case that I do, everyone kind of comments on how like strange it is that the clients barely give me any design direction. And then I'm like, this is what it's going to be. And they're all like, no notes. Wow. Which is very rare. And like to the point where sometimes like 5 days before people's wedding, I'm like, I'm going to tell you a little bit because I definitely don't want you to walk in. And, and some people are like, I want to be a guest. And maybe they don't start like that. Or maybe it's after they meet me, because sometimes I'll have people who will sit with me about hiring us and they'll go, I read that it's like that and I don't want that experience. And I'll go, great. And then they end up doing that, it's like 1 or 2 design meetings and I'm like, I think it should be this. And then they're like, okay, no, I get it. Because you just show them something so different than what they would have shown you. And then they're like, why was I even going to bother showing her this that I liked when she showed me this?
Right.
Which turns out is exactly what I liked, or like, so I didn't even know I liked it. So my experience with brides is really different and I'll warn them a little bit. I'm like, I plan things a little bit differently. So you might like go out for lunch with your friend that's engaged and they may be talking about their experience and you may be like, I don't actually know the answer to that. So of course you can call and ask me, but just so you know, and I kind of like explain it and I'm like, I know it's really rare. But then after they've worked with me, they're like, I totally get it.
So you surprise your brides with a look?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, terrifying.
But that's much easier.
It's terrifying.
But
I'm waiting for like I've been doing this for 15 years. Someone's going to walk in one day and be like, you're an idiot.
But they can't micromanage that way.
No, they can't. But that's not why I do it.
Right.
I just do it because I've always found that like whatever a bride or whoever is getting married, anyone who's getting married, whatever they present to you is not going to be as good. Yeah. Because it's not their job. It's not all they've done for 15 years, as what I'm going to present. So it's like, I'll take their ideas, but I'm not just recreating something that they found on Pinterest that's 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I hope I can do it better than that. And sometimes I'll take it and I'll be like, oh, I'll give you something better than that, but thank you. And then it's like, of course I should give you something better than that. This is all I do. This is why you're here.
Yeah.
So that's like how I look at it. I don't really look at their inspo like literally,
right?
Because that's not their job.
You're so right. That's actually a really good point. I've had that like before in general too, like creatively, that's a very real concept across the board, because I work creatively with people, not with events anymore, but they present something to you very often, it's from Pinterest, and very often it's old.
Right.
And they've identified something that they like about that picture, but you're like, oh honey, this has been done 7,000 times. We're not going to do that.
Right. So it's just about like,
but it's like, what's the mood? What's the feeling they wanted?
Sure.
And then, so that's okay. This does explain why you like working with brides.
I do. And I find like brides, weddings, like private events and the scale of a wedding, you get the most liberties.
Yeah.
You know, when we're doing like corporate, you get usually the least liberties.
Yep.
Because they have a brand.
Yep.
You know, so but weddings, like, you know, what I love about them is that it's like only 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know, you're not designing someone's home.
Right.
That we have to go like, can you live with this for 5 years? I'm
Right.
never asking, can you live with this for 8 years?
Right.
I'm always, or like, can you,
Do you design
can your
homes?
kids spill on this? No, but very, very special.
You're breaking the fourth wall.
Yes, I know. No. If anyone asks, no.
Okay.
But like as a special case for some people, some clients that like I've already worked with that kind of like know my style and know my process, yes.
Okay.
But definitely not, you can't like inquire
Okay.
about me doing that. But the reason is because I love, you know, I think about having a conversation about like the shade of gray on a sofa,
Yeah.
you know, and if it's gonna be this dark or this dark, and what do we your kids use crayons on here,
Right.
and it's like this very practical kind of conversation. I'm not saying this is like everyone's design, but
Right.
but it's much more common.
Right.
Whereas like in the world that I live in, I'm like, can we live with this for 4 hours? Let's go.
Exactly.
You know,
It's such a
like,
short
yeah.
lifespan.
Yeah, so like then the next day we're like, okay, we want it to feel like this, and the next day I'm like, ooh, I wanted something that feels like this,
Yeah.
because it's like it's
Yeah.
just so temporary.
How did you get into events? Like, what were you doing before? Like, how did you end up in that space?
So I worked in events in the fashion industry
Okay.
first. So like press releases and fashion shows, and this is like before Instagram, and the process that we used is so different than what I saw people using for social and private events. Like I remember, you know, hearing about the inspo for an event and or for a fashion show, and like this model, and they were like, you know, saying that they wanted it to look like she had just like gone for a jog, and she was like so flush, and like her hair was like just a little bit wet from this jog, and you know, so I was so used to these like references, and then you would go to a wedding and people would be like, what are your colors? Pick 2 colors. They'd be like pink and white. So then you would have like a pink linen with a white chair and a white
Right.
menu with pink writing. And then maybe you had a pink napkin and you had a clear vase with pink flowers and white. Maybe we should mix pink and white. And, you know, and I thought like, well, this is like, I'd never been to a wedding that I thought was like so gorgeous. I'd never seen a private event that I was like, you know, gave me that
Wowed by-
feeling of when I was like doing these events in like the fashion and beauty space that at this point we didn't even used to like post anywhere. They were like for press and celebrities.
Remember when
stuff.
like people did events and stuff, and like
We
you
didn't
only
sell
knew
product.
you only knew about it if you were there.
If you were there, there was no product for sale. There was nothing to like, no call to action or anything, which seems crazy now. And it was like really just about like
I
the
feel
party.
in many ways life was like a lot better when it was just like about the party.
It was so different. Like, you know, the point of the party was so different.
Yes,
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
what is the
because
point
I
of the party now?
started-
To like, well, because now the parties have not become about. I was actually just ranting about this, but like I feel like the parties have become so much less about the intimacy and the moments with your people. I'm not saying yours. I'm saying actually like just in general as a whole. And I feel like because of social media, so much of like the intimacy of these events has gotten lost. Do you find that? Do you ever do a no phone event?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Major celebrity events will be no phone.
Yeah.
And
is the vibe so much better with no phone?
it's so you're usually in those situations. I'm looking around trying to figure out why we're not allowed to have phones. I'm like, oh, who's getting arrested? You know,
Like there's a scandal.
Yeah, there's a scandal usually.
Right.
So it becomes a different focus.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, ooh,
I
who
know.
doesn't want to be like seen here?
Oh
with
my
who or
God.
whatever.
But you don't think that the celebrities do it because they want people to be present for their event?
No, they don't want people to know what they're
That
doing
is
in
not.
room. No, it's not that. I can confirm. It's not that. Like,
How naive of me. I mean, that's so sweet of me to think that.
It is so delicate.
But I guess, yeah, times have changed. Times really have changed with events.
Right.
And probably the asks have gotten greater and greater and grander and grander.
Well, I think that because of social media is so many awful things and so many amazing things. Like I've met so many people because of social media. Like it's so crazy that I can plan an event and like the guests will have been following along.
Yeah.
And that just wouldn't have happened before. That's so cool, that I can walk in and they'll be like, Melissa.
Yeah, we watched this.
We watched this,
Yeah.
So like that's so amazing. And
I do love watching an event come together.
Same.
That is really good content.
Same.
Like, ugh,
I know it's so
satisfying.
And it's so scary.
For you. For us, we're like,
I know. You're like, yeah,
totally, and like stuffing bonbons.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think it's terrifying, but yes, I do think it's probably fun for everyone else. But
oh wait, so you started in fashion, and you were doing all sorts of like
fashion shows, press previews, that kind of thing. And then I really wanted to bring that kind of like feeling of what was happening in these fashion events to social and private events, really. So I had to move. I'm Canadian, so I had to move back to Canada. I wanted to start my company. And, I called my mom. I was like, I might have to move home. What if no one hires me? And, because you can't, you don't realize this, but I was like, in New York for a bit, but I had to come back to Canada and start my company and then hope that people were going to hire me. But I did like 2 events just for like people that I knew and like was like, please, I'm trying to do my own thing. I had this like incredible portfolio. So it wasn't like really take a chance on me. It was just like, I'm going to do this under my, my own brand and as a wedding, like for a wedding. And then it just went really well and those events were published and, I got hired a bunch of times just from doing those.
Wait,
and then
really quick.
Yes.
What is you glazed over this? What was the feeling that was happening in the fashion shows and the stuff that you wanted to bring? Like, what was that?
Well, I think like design-wise, the like inspirations behind the designs felt more like moving to me and more impressive to me. And like
then like the kitsch themes of like the traditional like weddings that were happening.
At the time, the theme was like pick 2 colors.
I literally.
Yeah. It was
I do remember that
blue and brown.
Themes would be like, what's your color?
Yeah, what are your colors? Exactly. And I was like, this feels like we're doing a disservice because I always thought, well, if I was ever going to get married, I couldn't have this. Like, what would I have? So then I was like thinking about like, well, what could I have? And now it's been like so much social media. Everyone gets to see each other's work. Yeah. Like, so it's so different. It's so evolved now. But at the time, I like, did these 2 events that didn't at all look like that. Right. And I had like these long tables that in this like old brewing factory, and I put this cutout in this table and had the water and lily pads and like it felt so different at the time because it wasn't like a clear cylinder vase and 2 colors, and I was using like amber and all these like colors that weren't typically used. And
that's your lighting color.
Yeah. Yes. So I was, and like even in the flowers and stuff, I was like really spending time sourcing blooms that were like a little bit more difficult to get and that weren't traditionally used. I think like traditionally a bride would have looked at that and been like, that looks like brown. Yeah. And like the reason it probably looked like brown is because everything at the time was set against black or white.
Yep.
So I didn't have black or white anywhere in this space. And one of my first projects that I did on their own, but I just approached the design differently, and it looked so different at the time, and it looked like I hope is what I was told, but it looked like a private event that was designed by someone that worked in fashion, which is like was originally like that first edge, you know what I mean? That first edge that I had. So that was kind of why I wanted to do it, and then it panned out.
Yeah. So you've been doing this 15 years. It's a long time. You've watched the landscape of events change a lot.
Right.
What has been like one of the biggest shifts in the 15 years? Like I was one of the like unmistakable, because I feel like events take leaps.
Right.
Someone does an event and then that becomes like any like standout trends or were things things took an absolute change.
I think tenting has changed so much. Like at one time it was like you were avoiding a tent at all costs because they were like plastic and aluminum, like so ugly. And then now we get these like glass structures that look like greenhouses.
They're
that
stunning.
Like, you plan your event around having that. So I think like the actual structure of the tent, I think catering has like
Oh.
we used to go to a wedding caterer because not necessarily because anyone thought it was good, but because they had the infrastructure to serve 250 people at the same time.
Yep.
Which is its own job and its own specialty. And I think a lot of what happens at events, people think like, I hate wedding food.
Yeah.
Weddings look ugly, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of why these things aren't the best they can possibly be is because, well, we need the quantity of that flour. That's why this flour isn't used, because we need to get this quantity. Or the reason, you know, like I custom made tables for this like first wedding, but that is like not a typical thing to do. So like the reason people were doing this versus that is because this is what you could get in quantity. Wasn't available. You would have to go and get it custom made, and then you'd need someone to want that, and then you need to store that after, and someone needs to like kind of take the risk on making this thing, not knowing if it can be reused again. So I was so used to making everything custom, because in fashion, like you're not going to borrow from you know, Chanel to give to Prada. You're not, you know what I mean? Like it has to be custom. So it never even occurred to me to not. And I always knew that there was like some sort of risk. But, you know, now I think people are a little bit more comfortable with that, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, now that's true. The marquee really has been a thing.
Yeah.
I want to know your most nightmarish story and your greatest triumph story.
Oh my God. You know, we did this incredible wedding last year, and it was like a Hurricane Hillary times, you know, and it was like a 8-day build, and we have these like situations where you don't know if
like an 8-day build, meaning you started 8 days before building the entire structure for this wedding.
We built the ceremony over their swimming pool and built a dome over top of it of like sweet pea and you know, and then their tennis court we turned into like a kitchen, like Carbone catered it, like flew Mario Carbone, like, you know, and we had like a Coachella level stage, like Lil Wayne performed, Anderson .Paak performed, Leon Bridges performed, you know, so it was like pretty high stakes for things to go wrong, but also, you know, having like a hurricane, like the ceremony. This is the thing, when people say like, we'll just make a rain call, we'll have a backup tent, that works for a 3-hour setup.
Right.
You can say, okay, we're going to make the call at 11 a.m.
Right.
That doesn't work when you have to start building 8 to 10 days before.
Yeah.
You know, like we're building a kitchen that can be used by Mario Carbone, not by like someone casually making tacos in the corner, like by carpet, like, you know, flying in from Miami and New York, like a full team, you know, that doesn't take 2 hours. So these are like the most, and it's not like, this happens all the time. Like we built this tent again. This is always
Did the hurricane hit?
It honestly hit that night. Like maybe 2 hours after guests left. So really, really lucky, but could have gone terribly wrong. And we were kind of like making plans for if it did, like, where's the ceremony going to go now? On the dance floor?
Right.
Not for this client, not for this type of prep, you know? No. So it's,
but like the crazy thing is like, if something crazy, like a natural disaster happens, everyone's looking at you, right? Like, what are you going to do? Like not for this client, but what are you supposed to do? You're just a human. You can't control the elements.
Right. I did this wedding. There's like a video that went kind of viral in my TikTok about me doing this, but I changed the time of the ceremony for Kelly Oubre and his NBA player and his wife Shylin, and we were in Puerto Rico.
Why'd you change the time?
Because I couldn't go to Plan B. Like Plan B just distracts you from Plan A. You do have to have like a Plan B and a Plan C, but it's not. I hate a Plan B. You know, like
you don't want to have a Plan B.
Come on, like not these projects, you know? So it's like, what's the Plan B? Like, we're gonna get married in that ballroom? Like,
no.
Anyway, I had been like for days building this flower field on this lawn with like 20,000 blooms, like, you know, hand plucked in this huge field with this little aisle that she would kind of walk through this curved aisle. And then the curved aisle was the exact shape of this custom table that was going to get placed right in the opening for their brunch the next day. And it overlooked the water, blah, blah, blah. This like, you know, huge production. And then on the day of the wedding, I'm like, the wedding was at 3 or 4. I don't remember now, but it was going to rain. And so I like called every guest individually. I'm like, the wedding's at noon. We changed the whole thing. I had to call the bride that morning. That's what the video is like going viral. That I like so
What
me
did the bride
FaceTiming
say?
the bride. She was like, whatever you think.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess if you're just showing up, what do you care?
Yeah, I was like, you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, you're worrying about everything.
Yeah, I'm worrying about anything, but like get your butt in hair and makeup because like we're doing this at noon.
Okay, those are both pretty cool. I mean, and the hurricane waiting for 2 hours after the wedding, that was very nice of that hurricane.
So
because
polite.
that would have been a huge problem.
What a lady.
Did everything get
Hillary.
destroyed?
Yeah, a lot got destroyed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of glassware and stuff. But the party was over, so I was like, I can deal with this later.
Is this an industry, like, is events like a lot of females or a lot of men?
It's like client facing, I would say it's almost all women.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of labor behind the scenes that is a lot of men, like AV is typically male dominated.
Yeah.
Planning and design and flowers.
Yeah.
Is very female dominated.
Yeah.
So my industry is definitely female dominated. And
Yeah.
I have a full female team. So
because that's nice, because a lot of like the guests that I have to speak to, like we're always talking about like what it's like being a woman in a male dominated industry, but you in a way have like an advantage because it's a female dominated industry, and that's like your superpower.
I don't know if it's like an advantage because I feel like sometimes like a bride may, I don't actually know. Maybe what I'm saying
Like you
is
think
crazy,
like no, like a bride
maybe
might,
they would love to like
right.
work with a guy, but where are they?
There are no, they're
They're
not
like,
a lot.
This job is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'll take an easier one.
I don't think there's a guy in the world that wants to take on this job.
I don't think they could do it.
Because it's also so psychological. You're a therapist. You're a therapist basically for a long time.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. So that's, I mean, I'm so fascinated. You seem like you just take it all like super chill. I'm impressed by that because, and especially at the stakes you're doing it, I would be losing my mind.
No, I'm constantly losing my mind. Mind is lost.
What do you do to like chill out?
I have like a pretty like extreme, like I barely go out if I'm not working.
Okay.
So
You're a homebody?
I'm kind of like a homebody.
That makes sense though because it's such high pressure.
Yeah, and then I just
You're
want to
probably
chill.
so tired.
Yeah, I could do like a spa tour of America,
Yeah.
Like I would like to make it a personal goal to like visit every spa in the world, every 5 diamond spa in the world or something.
You must have like adrenal fatigue.
Yes, I have that.
Like you must, right? How could you not?
I don't know, but probably. I'm just guessing.
And you're a single gal.
Yes, but I was telling you the other day that I thought you'd make a good matchmaker.
I'm considering becoming a matchmaker.
I feel
and
like
somebody
you'd be
asked me
good
today,
at
another friend that's recently divorced called today, and she's like, do you have anyone for me? I'm like, why are you the second person in 2 days?
I feel like you would be good at it, honestly. Because I feel like you're a good judge of character.
I am. That's true.
And you ask good questions.
Okay, I'll take it. What are you looking for in a man? Like let's say this is your dating, this is your interview right now.
Oh my God. People are always like, what's your type? Okay, I was thinking about this after we talked. I was like, because I
did my matchmaker thing and asked you.
Yeah, you were like, what's your type? And I was like, well, I like really smart guys.
Okay.
I like nerds. And then I was like, oh my God, you know who I have such a secret crush on? Not secret because I'm going to tell everyone. But it's so, maybe you might have to crop this out. You know who?
We're 100% not cropping it out.
This is so embarrassing. You know Spencer Reed from Criminal Minds?
No.
Oh my God, he's so hot. This is like my dream man.
Is he a nerd?
Yeah, he's a nerd.
Oh. I like a nerd.
I love a nerd.
Do you think it's the safety and security?
No, I just like love a smart man.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
could they be smart and not nerdy? It's very hard to come by, you think?
who's smart, not nerdy?
You're right.
I love a smart,
Nerd.
nerdy man. Like, teach me something I don't know.
So I gotta imagine that your being single really also helps you do what you do because you're probably working sometimes like round the clock.
I am, yeah. I
How
work
would you
a
even
lot.
fit a relationship into that?
I don't know. Someone asked me that recently.
Like, how would you? Like, when do you even have time to date?
I don't know. I always like, I'm an entrepreneur, so I typically end up dating entrepreneurs. Coincidentally, or maybe I like hearing about business, so then that ends up being who I love to hear about people's businesses. So I don't know. I just, you just find time for things that
Yeah, that's true.
you like.
Make time.
You make time for things you like.
Yeah. I mean,
Like your new matchmaking career.
I'm going to put my head to this.
Okay.
Could you imagine I actually started making matches?
Yes, I could imagine.
Maybe I'll make your match.
That would be so good.
How do you like balance, or maybe you don't have to, because one of your things is that you do like, you have a crazy imagination and you pull it off. But is there often like a big disparity between like the logistics versus the imagination, like what you create in your mind versus like, and how do you balance that?
You know what? No, because I execute my own work. Okay. So it has to be executable. And I think it's like, not to get into a big rant about AI, but there is this is one of, I think, the issues that we're seeing with AI is that like plugging 12 words into a program and coming up with a rendering is not the same as someone who's going to eventually produce that work coming up with the idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like
because it's a fantasy rendering.
Yeah, what do you mean? It doesn't. What about gravity?
Yeah.
What about inertia? What about like? You see why I like nerds, but
and also just even like they have not considered weather, climate, time of the year, availability.
The renderings that I'm getting are literally like things are like literally floating in midair.
Wait, are people sending you AI renderings now for their weddings?
I got recently. I was explaining to someone that a certain floor plan wasn't going to fit. And then they were like, let me try it. And they put it into a program. And then all they did was make all the humans like smaller somehow, but then all the tables fit like so. And they didn't realize that that's what they did because they're like, I figured it out. I did it. And I'm like, well, technically, yes, all the tables are there, except now you have no room for guests. And like, I need waiters to be able to walk between these walls. A waiter can't even put a tray in between here. So there is a lot of like technical knowledge in doing the job. It's not like, I like that beige linen. It's like understanding how long it even takes to set that many linens, how long, like how much space you need for a waiter to walk around a table. Like there's so many little measurements and technicalities that like for an event to actually happen, you need. So that happened recently with AI, with someone being like, I figured out the program. Don't worry, Melissa, you can take a step back because I solved this. And I was like, you just removed all the guests. That's the only reason. That's the only reason that this works. And I think she moved one of the walls in this ballroom. I was like, well, let's see if the Four Seasons will just let us, remove that entire wall.
I hadn't even considered that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you think AI will take, outside of like people trying to take control of their own visions?
Right.
How do you think AI is going to like play into like the future of events?
I'm not sure. And I think it could be helpful, but I do think like that it's almost like it could be more helpful to me than it could be to the client.
Yep.
Because the client isn't making it. So them like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, maybe it would have sometimes it could take me hours to make a rendering. If it takes me 1 minute, right on.
Yeah.
So it could be helpful for that, but it's definitely not helpful to have someone that doesn't understand what has to happen for there to be humans enjoying, that space to just kind of plug a bunch of words in. It's not kind of helpful for that. And maybe it will be one day, but today it's not.
It's interesting. I think actually, if you really think about it, your industry is one of the only industries that really AI for right now. It's a moot point because you need the physical labor to put it together.
Right. And you need like
AI can't put an event together for you.
Right. No, they can't build.
They could build a venue for you. Sure,
maybe.
But like they can't execute an event. Exactly.
Yeah, they can't
do a cake tasting.
Yeah, totally. So
you're safe.
Yes, I'm safe for now. But I think it could probably help me a little bit, my team a little bit once we figure it out. But there was this image that someone put in for like a wedding inspo, and it was like going viral on TikTok, and someone was like, finally, like someone give this, rendering to event designers to show them what we really want to see. And I'm this is not executable at all. So kind of being like, look how much this imaginary thing is better than anything you guys can make in real life. Like, well, yeah, of course.
I really worry. The one thing that does that's going to be a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because
just like a reality check.
And people
basically.
cannot also tell the difference between AI. I mean, I could tell, but some people cannot tell when it's AI right now.
They definitely cannot. This person couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Like,
but there's a very distinct look that AI produces.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks very fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost like a little hazy.
And did you see there's like a story about someone that sold tickets to this like Willy Wonka experience?
Yes.
And they made like all of the ads on AI and they were like, it's going to look like this and blah, blah. And then in real life,
it's like a horror show.
Yeah, it was like a horror show.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, and it was like a folded table with like a random lollipop. And they couldn't execute it, but people had bought in.
Yes.
With these like AI generated images. So
that's going to be a challenge.
Yes.
Wow. There's no easy segue into this.
No.
Can we talk a little bit about like your recent journey into like planning your future?
Yes, I froze my eggs recently.
Okay.
A couple days ago.
Okay.
I'm going to show you after. I'm all bruised.
Yeah, don't show us now.
I know, you don't want to know.
So you froze your eggs.
So bruised.
Why? Because you're...
Well, because I'm single.
Yeah.
And I just wanted the option.
Yeah.
So I think like a lot of people have been like, great. It's been really interesting in so many people are freezing their eggs. So it's not that no one's heard of it.
Yeah.
It's that people don't like, people keep saying like, amazing. So you'll have a baby soon. Like, as though like,
no.
I'm like, what? No. This is just so
you
that.
need another person still.
Right.
AI hasn't fixed that yet.
Right. It's more so that, I have eggs frozen at this age that I'm at.
Yeah.
And and there's certain things that make your eggs not usable, like undergoing like certain health treatments and stuff. If you like get sick and you need certain types of treatments, that can kind of mess up your fertility. Or like, of course, you want the youngest eggs possible. Like that is the dream, the youngest possible eggs. So that's kind of why you freeze them, is just so that you're like, let me have the youngest possible eggs. And then, maybe I'll use them, maybe I won't, but I'll always have them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As long as I want to pay the annual storage fee, I will have them.
I'm paying a storage fee for, I'm doing something with my daughter's like umbilical cord.
Oh yeah.
What is it? I forget what they call it.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, because
stem cells or something.
The stem
right?
cells.
Should we use them? Should we microneedle them into our face?
Honestly, if I don't get sick, I'm gonna just take that umbilical cord out and be like, use this for a beauty product.
Absolutely.
Are you heavy into the like beauty products?
Yeah, I'll try anything. Absolutely.
Are you a slave to the beauty industry like me?
Absolutely.
Well, we met through.
Oh yes,
Candace.
through her facialist. Yeah,
facialist.
Yes.
So I guess I know the answer to that.
Yeah, I love her. I love her, and I love all beauty treatments. I swear, I'll try anything.
What's your favorite?
Lately, I've been very into CO2.
Okay.
Laser.
Did you do one?
Yes, I did 3. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing another one on Monday.
How far apart can you? So CO2 laser, for anybody listening, is like a super intense. You almost burn your face off to the point of not unrecognizability.
Yeah, you take painkillers.
Do you get like charcoal black? Like what's...
No, and I was worried about that because my doctor sold me on it, and he's like, "Oh, let's try CO2," and he knows that I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah.
And then I love trying stuff, and then like beauty stuff. I just love it. I'm like, why not?
Yeah,
why not? So why not? And so then I started, and then I was like, I need to like. I can only heal for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And he's like, no, you'll be fine. Like a couple days later, you can, whatever. And then I started Googling, as one does, and I started seeing people's faces like falling off. Terrifying. And I wrote to him to cancel, and I was like, no, I don't have 3 months to recover. I have like a week. And he was like, no, that's not how it is anymore. That's like how it was.
I used to Google the pictures and see that and be like, there's no way I'm ever going to do that to my face.
Right. So it's not like that.
Okay.
I think like.
What is the recovery time?
So until you can like, be on your podcast, I would say 2 weeks. But until you can just.
That's a long downtime.
You know why though? It's because your skin is like peeling, so my makeup would be like flicking off.
Right.
So like I would go to my office without any makeup,
right,
and go to the gym and go to get coffee and whatever, but I wouldn't like attend an event personally,
right,
with like my makeup flipping off.
Right.
So it's like for 2 or 3 days you're kind of like leave me alone, and then after that it's just like depends how It depends what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, but I like happily take the week and a half to not wear makeup for like the results. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are a slave to beauty.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I like put a big hat on. I'm like
CO2 lasers. What else are you doing?
I love CO2 though. Actually, I had a birthday to go to the last time I did it, like 3 days later, and I was like, I'm not gonna be wearing makeup, blah blah blah, because I just had a CO2 laser, and she is a beauty writer.
Yeah.
She's like a beauty journalist, and she's like, oh my God, we can't wait to hear about it. You know, so it's like all anyone talked about and no one cares. So if you're like with the right group, they're like, tell me more.
Yeah.
You know, it's like not
That's me.
It's not that weird to in LA to go to a dinner or a lunch and have people be like, I'm not wearing makeup because I just had this procedure.
It's you
I just
almost
burnt all my skin.
you almost it's a rite of passage.
No, people love it. They're like, how was it? Should I do it?
What was the catalyst for wanting to freeze the eggs now? Why not? Like what prompted it now?
You know, I had an appointment to do it like right before COVID. And then it got canceled because of COVID. And then I couldn't find a time. Once they opened again, I couldn't find a time to schedule it, where this is even harder than scheduling things around a CO2 laser, is scheduling things around an egg retrieval, because you can't, you don't, your schedule is not yours, which is like so stressful. Your schedule isn't yours.
Like
You're
they tell you when you're doing it?
Oh, by the hour. Like you go in every day for like blood work and an ultrasound, and they're like, okay, it might be Tuesday, it might be Wednesday, it might be Thursday. Like, okay, actually we're gonna add a day, or like
based on a cycle?
No, it's based on like how big your eggs get, and then they want to retrieve them at a certain size.
And they monitor it every day?
Yeah.
And is it painful?
No, you're asleep.
How long does the process take?
So it takes about 2 weeks, but it's like it could take 9 days.
No, the actual retrieval.
Oh, like an hour.
But why would you be bruised?
You're bruised because you're giving yourself the injections.
Oh.
So you're giving yourself about 3 injections a day or a night.
Whoa.
And I got really bruised. So, and you get really swollen.
Does it make you emotional?
I did it twice, back to back.
Yeah.
And the first time, it made me really emotional.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if that was just like, I was giving myself the out, because I'm pretty like composed, you know, I'm like so used to, you know. And then the second time I was like such a pro that I forgot that I even had the retrieval. I like, you know, it didn't phase me at all.
You're an egg retrieval pro now.
Yeah, I was like a pro. And the first time, like, because you know that this is like the craziest thing. They send you home with like all these needles and like a YouTube video. Like they take all your money and then and then they're like, good luck. And you're like, I plan parties. Like I'm a clown. Why am I doing this? I feel underqualified.
What if you like can't inject it? Someone else injects you?
I don't know.
You just have to figure it out.
Yeah, you have a YouTube video.
My friend did it, and she said that they're like so insensitive about it. Like that they're not like very loving or caring.
They see it so much that they're just like, you can do it.
So, but like, why are we seeing it so much? Is everybody putting their life on pause, like to kind of pursue things more than ever before?
Well, do you remember what age your parents were when they got married?
My parents were older, but that was unusual for their time.
Mm-hmm. Like my mom was 24.
No, my mom was older, but generally our moms were much younger.
We're much younger, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if I got married when I was 24, what a joke.
There would be no need for the retrieval.
Right. So it's like, I just think the timelines are so different.
They're so different now.
Yeah.
That's why they're seeing so many women.
Right, exactly. So it's like, it's not like women can't necessarily get, you know, because you hear all these people being like, oh, I was just talking to my girlfriend Lisa, and she was like, oh, I had one of my kids when I was 44. Like, you have so much time. So it's not about you not necessarily being able to. It's just about, well, we don't know. Like, we don't know what it's going to be like then. So let me just freeze these for like a little backup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like, and you don't have to answer this, but would you have a baby without a partner? Would you do it on your own?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. A lot of people have asked me like, so what's your plan? And I'm like, my plan right now is just to be able to have options in the future.
Yeah.
So I don't have this like urge within me to like have a baby tomorrow or something that I'm good. Like if I had that, maybe I would be thinking about that. Like, how am I going to get this?
Well, you have the castle, the protective dog.
Yeah, exactly. True. First things first.
Exactly.
And, but I don't like have that feeling that I'm like, baby or bust.
Right. Enough to do it alone.
Enough to like do it alone, or to be like, the reason I definitely was just like, let me freeze them because I have a little open window, and because why not? And then I'll just have the option, which is like very luxurious thing to have. You know, obviously it's like, it's expensive, it's inconvenient. You have to kind of like your schedule, you're like a slave to this process, you know, so you have to have flexibility and stuff to go there every day and blah, you know, whatever. And but that's just the only thing I've been thinking is just like, let me just have options for the future.
I think that's so smart. And also like, I love that science allows us to do that.
Yeah. Oh, how amazing.
We forgot to talk about hosting.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. We're only talking about dogs.
Dogs and weddings. Okay. What makes a great host?
To be a good host, your focus is your guests.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 300-person wedding or 3 people at your house. And this comes in different forms and different things. Like, for example, even survey. This is a very niche example, but I attended a wedding, and it was for someone that I am related to, and I love them, and they didn't have a wedding planner, and I was so happy to just be a guest. But the hors d'oeuvres were kind of going around at cocktail, and I was like giggling to myself because every single hors d'oeuvre was on a bread, a piece of bread, or
like a
cracker, a crostini or a cracker. And I'm like, this is so funny because I can tell that they approached this from like, this is what we like.
Yeah.
You know? And they're not bad hosts, but if you want to like, really elevate, you actually should be choosing these things based on like your guests. Exactly. So
that
it's
is a good host. A good host is somebody who considers the people coming.
Yes, exactly.
And not their own life and their own circumstances. That's why I always say, like, to be a great host, you give someone an experience outside of themselves. You let them get away from their life for a bit.
Absolutely.
So if you like have a dirty toilet or dishes in your sink, you have not allowed anybody to leave their life. They're back in their life. They're looking at your dirty dishes in their sink, and they're thinking about their own dirty dishes in their sink.
Right.
So that's like, so you're saying the bread, like not everybody wants to eat bread.
Right. Or like I could just tell.
Was this an LA wedding?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Oh, so you could tell. That would never happen at an LA wedding. But, because I would say, okay, I want 5 hors d'oeuvres. So I want a vegan, a vegetarian, a poultry, a fish, and, a red meat. But that is like, my, like, I have little prescriptions because this is all I do. It's never, just about what I like. I pick a lot of people's menu, but very much from like this is what makes sense for this project, which is really difficult because I don't think it's difficult, but I see when other people do it sometimes. And like even, when I hire people, one of the first things that I do when I take them to a tasting is actually show them how not to speak about the food. So like sometimes they'll be like, I didn't like this. I'm like, irrelevant.
Right.
So they're like, but I don't like shrimp. I'm like, not you, not about you.
It's not about you.
No one cares.
It's not about you.
So it's like more about looking at the guests. And, I would say that sometimes I do these videos about like things people hate when they go to events or weddings, and people get really mad, because like on TikTok, they're like, people loved it when I did that. And I'm like, no, they didn't.
No, they didn't. They lied to you.
Yeah, no, they never said they liked it or didn't like it.
Right.
You just want to think they liked it because it's what you like, So,
it's so true.
Yeah, like they didn't say they liked it.
Some hosting do's and don'ts.
Okay. I think for hosting don'ts, you never want to try anything new. And hosting do's, you want to figure everything takes longer on the day than it should. And everything takes so much longer when all your favorite people are there. Because how annoying is it to be trying to do stuff and people are trying to catch up with you and it's their experience, so they want to like kiki and have a ball, and you're just like, oh, I'm burning the house down. So like anything you can prep or buy ahead of time, like do your hair and makeup way earlier that day. Like do not, don't be when they walk in, you're like,
I have to leave and go do my hair and makeup.
Makeup. So anything that you can prep ahead of time and to like also keep people busy, like have a pre-mixed cocktail and like a station with, ice and garnishes and all the mocktails and cocktails, so that if you don't get them a drink, they can get themselves a drink. And it's just like, it's very difficult to be like 1 or 2 on 10 or on 20 or on 30. So you're really just trying to like minimize.
I like that. That's really good advice. Don't try anything new.
No. It has to be like anything that you can prep ahead of time and things like you already know are going to work.
Okay. Any like foolproof, like what are some good dishes that are always like crowd pleasers?
This is like a little bit of a cop-out, but like ice cream is always everyone's favorite dessert.
God. Is it?
Yeah. Ice cream is always a crowd pleaser. So
that shocks me. I don't know why.
Do you ever find that like when you order, like you never think to order ice cream for dessert, but when you do, you're always like,
loved it.
I loved it.
If I see ice cream on the menu, it piques my interest.
Right.
I'm never going to turn it down.
Right.
I'm never going to say no ice cream.
That's what I mean. Whereas when people like someone gets a molten chocolate and then they go, I'm not a big chocolate.
Or lemon.
Someone goes, I'm not a big lemon person, right? So ice cream is like a weird crowd pleaser. And also I like to do this trick with ice cream where I get like cupcake tins and I line them. And then I scoop different flavors of ice cream in balls in the liners. And I put that in the freezer, okay? And then when people are ready for their ice cream, I just need to either pop it in the bowl or in a cone or like, you know, if you're having like a backyard thing.
That's genius.
And you just, what do you want?
Do you have any more of those tips?
Just a lemon and a strawberry? I got you.
Just pop it out of the little...
Yeah, and if not, you just roll it back into the bin.
Like do you have any other ones like that?
I have so many. Oh my God.
That's so good.
I feel like I'm always like trying to do little tips and tricks on TikTok and stuff like that. You know what? There's a lot of like different hacks for like how to kind of cut things and share things. I did a hack recently. I'm going to post it. But do you know that when you're serving someone a slice of cake, the proper way to serve it is so that the peak of the point is facing them?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And if you're serving cheese, the proper way to cut it is so that is the long way, so that everyone gets
the longest piece.
And like there are different textures and different flavors, depending on how far you are from the rind and stuff.
Oh my God, I love this.
I know, we should do like a finishing school. I'm going to get like a list. I'm going to come back and we'll do like live demos.
I would love to do that. Because hosting is like a passion.
Same.
And I love it.
Same.
Okay, wait.
Same.
I have a rapid fire for you at the end because we just got told that we're... Okay.
Running out of time.
Rapid fire for Melissa Andre.
Okay.
Favorite brand of jeans?
Oh my God. A Goldie or Citizens of Humanity.
Okay. Love A Goldie.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Oh, I have an almond milk latte.
Okay. Makeup brand.
Oh,
these are hard, right?
These are hard. I use so much. I love makeup. You know what? I've been loving recently House Labs.
House Labs? Interesting. Okay. Shampoo, conditioner.
Oh, I like Chlorine, that French brand.
Chlorine. Interesting. Your go-to breakfast?
Oh, coffee. And I try and be a little bit healthy.
You don't eat breakfast?
No,
it shows.
I have eggs, bacon, avocado, sweet potatoes.
Is bacon now in the health range?
It is for me. I grew up on bacon.
You know what? People do the whole thing now is like healthy, like real meat.
That breakfast is gluten-free, dairy-free.
Yeah.
Sugar-free if you get the right bacon.
But you're having oat milk, right? Or what did you say? Almond milk?
I weaned myself off oat milk. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't drink any of the nut milks anymore. I'm like, yeah. I think you have to come off those.
Oh my God. What kind of milk are you drinking?
Regular organic milk. I'm going back to the source.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay, and was your night out, but we found out.
I stay in. No, I love
your favorite night out.
Staying in. I love like a long 4 or 5 hour dinner. I swear. Shut that thing down. Like,
and I like to start it early.
Me too. I
like to go daytime to nighttime.
Me too.
Oh my God, such a good answer.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, luxury brand.
Oh, just overall?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would say Chanel, but I'm just so mad at them, these price increases. So.
I know.
No,
okay,
I don't
but
know.
Chanel's same. Beauty product you can't live without.
Like a concealer.
Vacation spot.
Oh, I love Europe. I was just saying to someone, I'm like, this is a rhetorical question, but not what is better than a European summer?
Nothing.
And the person's like, nothing.
I spend my summers in Europe.
That's what I mean. I'm coming. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, please. Okay, hotel chain?
Oh, I love boutique hotels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your go-to baked good?
Oh, pie. Apple pie.
What kind? Apple?
I was buying, like, when I was retrieving my eggs, oh my God, not a slice, full apple pies.
Just eating the whole thing in one
Absolutely.
sitting?
No shame.
You
No
deserve
care.
it, girl. Oh my God, that was perfect. That was so fun. Thank you so much for today. This was really, really awesome. I loved hearing more about what you do. You're just, I mean, we're going to tell people where to find you, but your stuff is just incredible. Your events are incredible. Your style's incredible. You create hosting products which people can find, and just, you're awesome. And I'm so glad we did this today.
I love you. Me too. It's so much fun.
Thank you.